Howdy everybody, thought I'd shoot a little update after the second steam test. Well, as you can see, there's a lot of the copper RTV residue on all that stuff. I need to wipe it off. We did have some minor steam leaks at the second steam test, so I took apart anything that was leaking and sealed it up with the copper RTV. I noticed that that seemed to work much better than the leak lock stuff, the gray stuff. The gray stuff held in certain circumstances, but the copper RTV seems to be the stronger of the two. For example, it's that and a gasket seal my steam dome here, and absolutely no problems with that. So another couple things I did, I took this valve, and the cool thing about these angle valves, I had it positioned, if you look at the other videos, you'll notice I had it positioned the other way around, with this part that's now connected to the base was connected over here, and the little on-off valve was over here where my fingers are. And Fred pointed out that that would be awful hard to reach if I had some sort of emergency sticking, especially with the cab in place. So I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea, good point. So you can actually take these globe valves, the geometry is the same. So I just took the same one off and I flipped it around so that the stem is to the top, if that makes sense, hopefully to you, and reconnected it, and that's all good. And the other thing I did was I added this fitting to this steam line, and I replaced the valve here. I had used a kind of an old-fashioned taper valve in this location before, and I had an extra 5/16 27 threaded loco parts valve, so I thought I'll go ahead and replace that, put the loco parts valve in this place, and as you can see I used copper RTV all over everything. Had to make up a little custom fitting. This is a standard elbow here, but it's 1/8 inch pipe here, or excuse me, 16th inch pipe on this side, 16th inch pipe on this side on this adapter. So I had to drill the fitting out with an F drill and then tapped it. And then this morning I silver soldered it together, and as you can see I've smeared the RTV around. So anyway, a little custom fitting there. This is the same whistle valve I was using from before, and I redid this fitting here. Before, this was a solid line. As you notice that the orientation is slightly different, but I cut the line, or actually just unsoldered it, and I put in a new piece, and I had this 5/16 inch tubing union set that I'd made up an extra set in the past. So this morning also I silver soldered it into this copper tube, and now I've got a way to take this apart, so I can take it apart here, take it apart here. It's a lot easier for maintenance in the future. So that's all back together, better valve, better orientation, and an additional fitting there, so for better maintenance in the future. The other thing I did, we had a steam leak here at the back of the boiler where the throttle fitting goes in right here. I had used that gray leak lock stuff, and it wasn't good. I mean, it was leaking some steam out of there. So I took that apart and replaced it with the copper RTV today as well. Cleaned the threads off. Threads look fine. Everything looked fine. It's just the sealing stuff was not that good. So I think I'm sure the RTV will do a great job. Other thing I'll show you real quick. Cool thing about Fred's design for having the axle pump underneath here, let's see if I can get down low enough and show it to you. See the brass bar that you see with there's a hole in it and a hex head thing. The hole that's taken out, that is the inlet valve fitting, and we think that I may need to redo the seat inside there. I was real careful when I made it, but I may not have smacked that ball hard enough when I was constructing it. So I'm going to drive this pin out here in a few minutes, and I'll get a different ball and smack it in, make sure I've got a good seat in there. But the neat thing is that I was able to remove this very easily. Just an ordinary wrench, 5/8 inch socket, little extension on there, and it came right out. Of course, the front truck is removed, so it makes it even easier. But that's the nice thing about that axle pump design, and I appreciate Fred's work in making that design for me. So there's tonight's update. Thanks for watching. I'll keep y'all posted.